I can't find my hat. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. Sorry, I couldn't get the buttons to go quick enough to get on here. Get some of this stuff out of the way here. Anyways, we're here tonight for Into the Progverse, where we explore some progressive element of the progressive rock world. And I've chosen today to talk about my Nektar collection. So I've been doing the odd collection episode here and there, trying to get all of my progressive rock stuff out there. So Nektar was one of the bands I hadn't done. I have 7 albums by them, including their first 6 albums released, studio albums, that is, for the discography. I thought I had one of their live shows on DVD, but it was actually Overhead that I had. I wasn't sure which one it was I had, but I had an Overhead album as opposed to the Nektar's live, so we won't be reviewing any kind of live stream show or video or DVD or anything like that. So this is I guess this would be one of my pioneering kind of progressive rock bands from the beginning of this channel. So the day I started this channel was the day that I received a bunch of albums in the mail from a place I ordered them through, and 2 of them were Nektar albums, along with 1 Eloy album. So those were probably the first 2 kind of progressive rock bands that I got into since I started the channel. Like before that, of course, yes, Genesis, Rush, Pink Floyd all had impacts with me throughout my music career. Even a little Gentle Giant here. Some people might include Styx and Blue Oyster Cult in that group as well, for progressive music. But nobody else, none of the other progressive bands, I had nothing from any of them. And I'll be honest, when I started this channel, I was under the impression that there was only about a dozen progressive rock bands out there, and I only needed to explore about 4 or 5 more of them to get them all. I was way off the mark there for sure. Also, I was off the mark on, I thought rock music was basically a few bands that were left that were still putting on the odd album, and everything else was basically pop music and dance music and rap music and all that. So it's hence the reason I kind of had a down period in the 1990s and was only just coming back in this so I could learn more about some of the albums I didn't get. And unknown to me, there's a whole world of bands out there making albums that I didn't even know about. And that got me back into this. So tonight's episode, Into the Progverse, we will be tackling my Nektar discography, and we'll do it chronologically like we always do here. The first album we're going to talk about is their debut album, Journey to the Center of the Eye. Every time I see this album, it reminds me of The Walking Dead. It's because they always show people's eyes on that episode. This one, of course, doesn't have all of that dead look in it or veiny look in it that you get from The Walking Dead, obviously. So this was their debut album, released back in 1971 or 72, I believe. It was 71. Yeah, 1971. Doesn't say on the album here. Not surprising. Seldom says anything like that anymore. So this album, almost like a double album. It actually is a double CD. I'll take it out and show you here what I got. if it comes up. Sometimes, oh, yep, it's opening from this side. I like them better when they open from this side than from the inside. The inside ones, they always end up breaking. So this is actually The Journey to the Center of the Eye, the original album, plus a bonus CD of official bootleg stuff from November 13th, 1971 at Besunger Turn Hall in Darmstadt, Germany. So for those of you who don't know the history of Nektar, Nektar is a Scottish rock band that became prominent in Germany. So they were kind of stationed in Germany, and that's where they made their mark initially. They've done okay over the years. They seem to be one of those bands that history has been much more kinder to them than initially. Initially, they were an obscure kind of progressive rock, almost progressive metal band. To my way of listening to them, they're very, very heavy, almost metal-like in some ways. Definitely having an influence on some of these later metal bands as well. But anyways, so they started their journey in Germany, mostly obscure over here, but with the onset of the internet, some of these more obscure progressive rock bands, some of the bigger ones anyways, the ones that were fairly big in certain areas in the world, have now gotten a kind of a second life. And a lot of people who are looking for progressive rock can find this stuff on the internet. So some of these bands have kind of taken off as a result of that. And this is one of those bands. Now, to me, at this stage of the game, they were basically Derek Moore, Ron Howden on drums, Mo Moore on bass, Alex Taft Friedman on keyboards, and who am I missing? Roy Albrighton on vocals and guitars, and then Mick Brockard on basically doing all the lighting, because they're a very big lighting group, using the lighting show as their main thing when live. So this album was the second one that I listened. Oh, actually, this was the third album I listened to by them, but it's actually their first disc. Did very well initially with me. Here it is here. Sorry, Mick Brockett. I knew it was wrong when I said it. Keith Waters, Static Slides. Ron Howden, Derek Moore, Royal Brighton, and Alan Taft Friedman on mellotron, pianos, organ, and vocals. And a nice picture there. Very dated looking picture for sure. Anyways, I've grown to kind of like this band quite a bit. This album did very well with me in my playlist, getting pretty close to 10 or somewhere between 10 and 11 months in my playlist, which is a long time for an album. Most of the albums are gone by the time you get to 5 months, but they have lasted quite a bit longer than most. Let's go ahead and put it back in here. So a good debut album, some pretty heavy album, lots of interesting stuff here. I'd read it off, but it's just very obscure on this album cover, giving a lot of detail, but not easy to read because very small in print. Anyways, definitely a concept album and a good start for a strong band. That's their first album, Journey to the Center of the Eye. So the next album up is probably my favorite by them. This is Nektar's Tab in the Ocean. This is the beginning of those great covers, those science fiction like covers here. Tab in the Ocean. And of course, you can see a little bit more of that kind of 1900 kind of drawings there. Really interesting stuff, anyways. And in this case, another double album, double CD collection. So you've got the Tab in the Ocean, the original album release, and then you have a second Tab in the Ocean here, which is, so let me close this up so I can read from it. So the original album was released in 1972, 4 tracks in total. A Tab in the Ocean, the title track, about 17 minutes, 18 minutes in length. Desolation Valley and Waves is about 8 minutes, sorry. Then we got Crying in the Dark, which was also covered by, I believe Iron Maiden covered this as well. It's about a little bit over 6 minutes. And then King of Twilight, actually Crying in the Dark wasn't, it was King of Twilight that was covered by Iron Maiden. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, all 4 of these songs, really good, very strong album. It's actually going to be nominated this year for me to become a masterpiece album. It would be their first if it gets in. But the album is quite heavy. That was the biggest surprise for me, how heavy this album is. I knew it would be progressive. I just didn't expect it to be so heavy. The second CD here is a 1976 US mix release featuring A Tab in the Ocean, Desolation Valley and Waves, Crying in the Dark, and King of Twilight, all 4 of the songs on the original version. All 4 of them different lengths, so they've added or taken away from each of the songs. And in addition, on the second, you have an official disc, official bootleg. Now, I think, if I'm correct, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think both versions of the US release and the original 1972 release are both on disc 1, and then all the bootleg stuff is on disc 2, which features a recorded live November the 13th, 1971 bootleg recording in Basunger Turnhall in Darmstadt, Germany, featuring A Tab in the Ocean, Porcelain Valley, later called Desolation Valley, and Crying in the Dark, those 3, and then a live in the studio 1973 version of Desolation Valley and Waves. So lots of coverage, different versions of the song. This is a strong album, possibly my favorite, definitely going to be up there near the top for sure. So their second studio album released in 1972, Tab in the Ocean. Okay, the third album, which is new to me, it's still I've listened to it maybe 3 times in its entirety. It's waiting its turn. It'll be short period of time. It will get in there probably when the Remember the Future gets taken out of my playlist. This one will go in. It's waiting its turn. It's because it's so big. I have to kind of put it in there in the special. All their albums are kind of double sized. This is no different. It's their third studio album. 2 CDs again, very psychedelic looking, very colorful. So the radio versions of all the tracks are on disc 2, as well as the live at Versunger Turnhall in Darmstadt, Germany. So they did covers of the Tab in the Ocean stuff at that concert, and then they placed that on the Tab in the Ocean, what they call remake. And then they did the same on Sounds Like This, other songs that were played at that same concert on a second disc on this album, Sounds Like This. And then they also have the original disc here as well. This is very kind of a very colorful, almost psychedelic look. So, yeah, you've got 4 sides here, 2 on each disc, I guess. disc 1 with all the songs from the original album, and then disc 2 with all of the live recordings as well. So you've got the cover here, psychedelic, I think. Even more psychedelic is the back cover, and even more is the inside flap on both sides. Very kind of spacey, very psychedelic. So like I said, I've listened to this album twice. Disc 1 has the original album. Disc 2 has the radio versions, and also has the recorded at the Dartmouth concert as well. Darmstadt, sorry. So, yeah, excellent. I like this quite a bit. It's not gotten in the playlist, so it's not got a lot of listening to, but I like what I hear. Fits in with the stuff I've been listening to up to this point. Then we move on to this album, Nektar, their fourth album. Remember the Future. Many consider this to be their magnus opus, their big album. The band members think of this as their biggest album. It's got one of the more psychedelic science fiction colored landscapes that it does on Tab in the Ocean as well. A little bit of that going on here on the back of the album. Nice picture of the guys on the inside of the album. And of course, once again, you have 2 discs. So all 4 of these up till this point have been double discs. I'm just going to fold this over so I can read it. So basically, disc 1 has Remember the Future Part 1, and then disc and also side 2, which is Remember the Future Part 2. So basically, it's one song, kind of like Thick as a Brick, but it has 10 different suites, if you call them suites A through J, different versions, like different as it's telling a story. So the whole album is that way for disc 1. Disc 2 is a bonus material, radio edits of the same songs, some of the same songs, not all of them, and then the 1970 Boston tapes, and a whole bunch of stuff covered on this that isn't on Remember the Future, but on some of their earlier albums, I believe. So this was released in 73, and this one also in 73. The both of them were released in 73, the third and the fourth album. This one's quite good. It's currently in my playlist. It's in the top. It's my second favorite album at the moment. I'm really liking it a lot. It's grown on me exponentially over the last 2 months. At first, it wasn't doing too great, and then it really just kind of took off once I realized that the stuff I was hearing on the bonus material wasn't on the original album. And I don't know why I didn't get that right away, but it took me a while to understand that. I started listening to the first album disc as Remember the Future, and then it just kind of just took right off from there. I don't know if this will end up being my favorite album. It could. It's got a possibility. It's definitely going to be up there. But those first 4 albums are quite strong. Now we're going to move on to their 5th album. And this one comes in a digipack here. Sorry, not a digipack, but it has a cover like some of the double albums you get. This one is the first one with only 1 CD in it. In total, you've got the entire album here, which has 9 tracks on it, and then you have a bonus tracks, original Chipping Norton mixes. Pretty much most of the songs, about 7 of the original 9 tracks are being replayed on this bonus track. Kind of an interesting looking cover. It's a double-decker bus, and they're all dressed in these really psychedelic, weird clothing. Same on this. It's the same cover. And they both have the same back. This is just more or less a protective shield, if you prefer. I did chip it when I bought it by accident, dropped it. So it features Roy Albrighton, Taff Freeman, Ron Howden, Mo Moore, and Mick Brockett here, as always. This is their 5th studio album. This is the first one that I listened to. I've only listened to this in its entirety maybe twice, and didn't really warm up to it yet. I'm not really sure why. I think I need to listen to it a lot more. I'm sure that once I've listened to it a lot more, it'll warm up to it quite a bit. Anyways, kind of a different one, not as artistically inclined as some of their previous albums. Maybe a little bit weaker musically too. And this is from 1974. Move up to their 75 album. I believe this is 75. Of course, it doesn't tell you. Wouldn't want to do that. Let me find it first. Yep, doesn't say. I knew it didn't. Yeah, it doesn't really give it. It does tell you that some of the songs were mixed in August of 75. So I'm going to assume it's a 75 release. And now I guess I should tell you what we're talking about here. So the album is called Recycled. Kind of very different cover. Very psychedelic, very spacey, very science fiction-like cover and back here. There are several versions of this album cover, several versions of this album and different covers on it. I'm going to pull it out and show you. So this is the original one. Actually, the inside flap looks a lot better than the outside. Looks a little worn. This is a single disc digipack. That's what it is. So, of course, there are 11 tracks on this. And then there are different mixes that are on here as well. A second 11 versions of the songs. So probably just re-releases or different versions. Just thinking, of course, every one of their books has a little story on each of the albums. I've read most of them, but can't remember them all. Just wanted to see something if it was here. No, it's probably at the front. Yeah, so you got Roy Albrighton, guitars, lead vocals, Alan Taft Friedman on keyboards and vocals, Ron Howden on drums, percussion, and Derek Momore on bass and vocals. And of course, I believe Mick Brockett is on here as well somewhere, although they don't mention his name. So there you go. That's Nektar, their 5th album. This one actually had a little bit of an impact in North America, but didn't break out, and there was a delay or something on the release of the material, which hurt them. This is the deluxe edition. That's what it is. Recycled, their 6th studio album. Yeah, so this was one of the 2 first ones that I owned. The other one was Tab in the Ocean. I got those 2 at the same time. I listened to Tab in the Ocean first, mostly because I thought it looked like more of the type of album I would be into. Also because by looking at them, I discovered that it was the earlier of the 2 albums. So this from 1975, Recycled. Now we're going to jump far ahead because those first 6 I have in a row. I haven't got a lot of the ones in the middle. And I bought this one. This is a 2013 edition, I believe. It's upside down. Not sure why, but anyways. The album is Time Machine. I believe this was the last album to feature Roy Albrighton on it before he died, but just let me check. We'll see if he's even on it. He might have even been gone by this time. I'm gonna have to fix this. It's all upside down and everything. Yeah, so you got Klaus, Ron, and Roy are all on this. Doesn't say who played on it though. Let me see. Okay, here we are. Nope. Okay, here we are. Nektar performing on this album. Roy Albrighton guitars and vocals. Ron Howden drums and vocals. Klaus Hench Hinach on keyboards and Billy Sherwood on bass. So a couple of the original members, Moore and Al Taft Freeman, not performing on this album. Now, I could be wrong, but I think Alan Freeman might have been passed away at this point. But this, I believe, was the last album to feature Roy Albrighton. I think he passed away after this, sometime after this album. It's not a bad album. It's a little bit poppy, though. Poppier than I was expecting. I didn't think it would be of such a poppy nature. Oh, that's better. I got it right side up now. The back is quite good, too. So the cover on this one's one of the better ones. It's got that creature, similar creature to Tab in the Ocean, but this is space. And then you've also got this chain thing here. So it's like a boat coming in from space. It's kind of a weird, different kind of a story to it. But I found this album I didn't mind it, but I thought it was a little bit poppy. Seems to have more of a poppy flavor and a bit of a less of a progressive flavor that some of their earlier albums had. It came out in 2013, so many years after. I think there's about 5, 6, maybe as many as 7 albums in between this and Recycled that I still have to get. Not easy to find the later Nektar albums. The earlier ones seem to be always available, but these later ones not so easily found. So that's it for my Nektar collection tonight. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the stuff. If you've got any thing that you want to add, you can do that in the comments section below after the video uploads. And also, if you want, you can also hit the like and subscribe. That helps the channel. And I will be setting up another episode within the next day or so for next Sunday nights into the Progverse. I don't think we'll be doing a collection thing. I think I have a couple of things that I would like to go over. So we may do a comparison between 4 albums that I've been thinking about doing something like this for this live stream. So I hope that you will enjoy this video, and I'm going to end the stream now. So hopefully we'll see you all next week. So take care. Have yourself a good evening and good night and goodbye here from the Prog Monster.